Hi, I'm Mwenyewe Dawan, Assistant Superintendent in the Wissahickon School District. I created this podcast, Leading with Dignity, Casual Conversations with Dr. Dawan, to help everyone to get to know our leaders better and all the wonderful work that they do. I'd like to highlight not just the incredible work that they do, but also have them share their passions, their personality, and some of their stories so that you can get to know them better. I hope you'll enjoy this series, and please do give us feedback. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Hay, for joining me as my special guest on our podcast today.
I'm very excited to be here.
I'm so excited for you to be here. So, Ms. Hay, you are our Director of Human Resources here for the Wissahickon School District. And in your role, you have an incredibly important job to make sure that we have all the right seats filled on the bus and all the seats filled with the most high quality people to add value to our organization. And Wissahickon is such a special place that we have lots of people who want to be here, which is great. But we always want to make sure we have the best for our students, right? This is going to be so wonderful to get to connect with you and to hear more about your job and also to hear more about you and learn about you as a person. So thanks again for joining me. Okay, so the way this works is we'll start off with a little lighthearted conversation, and then we'll take a deeper dive into what your daily life is like as a leader in this district. And then we'll wrap up where you get to turn the tables and ask me questions. So let's get started. I have a couple lighthearted questions. You can choose between two. What's your favorite season and why? Or who is someone you admire most in life?
I think I'll pick who I admire most in life, and it would be my grandmother. My grandmother helped raise me as a kid. She lived in our home. I had a very special relationship and bond with her, but I think what I loved the most about her was, she came from poverty. She was orphaned at a very young age and lived in a convent, and her stories, it's just so unbelievable, the resilience that she had through her life. And that was just the early years. And then, there were all kinds of other stories and things that have happened to her. And at the end of the day, she still was happy and just really cared about humanity and other people. Like, she was that person that always had the coffee on and the neighbor that you could always go and visit. She was short in stature, but she was just so mighty of a person and personality, and really my best friend, for so many years. So it would definitely be her. So
what a beautiful story, and what a beautiful woman it sounds like she was. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we carry that with us, right? When we have those amazing role models that we right in our families, that we get to carry forward and find ways to emulate in our own lives, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What's your favorite all-time movie, book, or play, and why? Or what's your dream vacation destination and why?
So I think I will go with, you may have heard this one before, but it's a little bit older of a movie, but it's Moulin Rouge. I am a sucker for musicals and romantic musicals at that. I love the music. I love the theatrics of it. And I love Ewan McGregor and and Nicole Kidman. It was just always such a fun go-to movie that just anytime, when you want to throw on a movie, that's the one I would throw on. And I also got my husband to really love it. And it'd be one of the songs in Moulin Rouge is our wedding song. So we got married in a tent on my husband's dad's property, and we actually projected part of the movie scene up. It's unbelievable that he actually did this, and he surprised me. I had no idea.
Oh my goodness!
And he projected part of the movie up on the tent. So again, it just sort of solidifies my love of that movie and the music, and so.
That's amazing. What a story. Okay, are you going to tell us the song?
So, of course, it's Your Song by Elton John, but they did like a really beautiful, fun rendition of it. So we actually danced twice. We danced to the original, and then we also danced to Moulin Rouge. So we got like a double dance.
I love that. Yeah. That's so fun. Yeah. What are some personal passions or interests you have that are outside of your role here in the district? Or what's one thing people might be surprised to know about you?
Well, I think I'll do a combo on this
Okay,
one.
all right.
So might be surprised and also my passion outside of here. So it used to be spin. I love taking spin classes.
That's right.
I've moved into a different direction, and it's actually weightlifting. So I participate at a gym with some cohorts of folks in some lifting. And so the other day I had a personal record. So I deadlifted 175 pounds,
Wow.
which was like the best that I've done so far. And I'm hoping to get to 200, in the next 6 months. I've been setting goals along the way, and I never thought that I would enjoy something like this. It always just felt like something, beyond my reach. But I'm in a cohort with some incredible folks who, we all push each other and encourage each other. And I find it to be just a really incredible experience. I'm excited that, doing this for my body and my life, I think about, aging. I've worked in long-term care in the past and watched many people age, and I want to do it well. So I'm hoping to set myself up for some strength as I get older, and that's where I'm at. So that might be surprising, but also something I really enjoy and something that I'm continuing to grow and build in, and I really, really love it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And the impact on, as you mentioned, on your strength and your ability to just have, life functioning skills later in life as we age is so critical. I like to lift as well. I like to lift heavy, and I am careful not to fall into the trap of like the powerlifting community because I feel like if I go down that pathway, it might not be, it'll be good, but not good.
Yeah.
But it's very tempting.
Absolutely.
It's so tempting and so fun. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I do find also, surrounding yourself with people who have that fitness mindset, it sort of gets you excited about some other things, maybe doing a 5K or exploring some other fitness avenues. So I really love that aspect of it as well. Just surrounding yourself with some folks like that to sort of keep it, front and center, because it is so important.
Like positive peer pressure.
Yeah,
that's what I call it.
Absolutely.
Positive peer pressure.
A little competitiveness.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's take a deep dive. Let's talk about your daily activities. What is a typical day like for you? And I know every day is different. You have many facets of your job, many responsibilities in your department. But if you would describe a typical day for you, what would that look like?
That's really tough because every day is so different. And I'm sure that's what most people say to this question. Most days involves, working with staff and working with, our administrations. What that might look like is, assisting somebody, that needs a leave, or, and having those conversations from, having babies to maybe something not as exciting, medical procedure someone's having, and helping them through that transition and through that time frame, and letting them know what their benefits look like and what their leave might look like through that. And also just being empathetic and compassionate about what they might be going through, because typically they're worried about how is my class going to get covered, or what's going to happen, with my benefits or my pay. And so just trying to let them know that this is the easiest part of whatever it is that they're going through, and just giving them that peace of mind and the information they need to make those decisions. So that's just one example of how I might interact with a staff member. And then I'm speaking with an administrator or administrators every day. So, things come up in their buildings that they might have questions about, or ways that I can, assist them or coach them, or just be a listening ear if there's something, happening that they need to talk to someone about. That's a lot of what I do. And then I have a full team of folks, in benefits and payroll-related duties and attendance. I'm often spending a lot of time with them, talking through, what they have on their plate, helping them organize their day or create efficiencies. So it sort of runs the gamut, but in our department, I say that the most important thing we can do is offer incredible customer service to our staff. So if we're doing our jobs well, it's allowing them to do their job. So they shouldn't have to worry about their benefits or their pay or related to those pieces. We should worry about that for them, because the most important thing that they can do is be present in their classrooms. And if they're worrying about any of those things, they're not able to do that. So I think us doing our job well helps the rest of the staff and the organization do theirs. So
One of the things that we often say in conversations, and I know Dr. Chris Fields has said this as well, is you bring the human in human resources. And it's so true. I mean, you really always are looking for ways to support our staff through whatever it is they need to navigate. And taking that supportive approach helps people to feel like they're cared for, to sort of have this network of support around them. Because some of the things are fun things, but as you mentioned, some are not so fun. So to have a department leader and a team in your department to be empathetic, to be always looking for ways to support them and navigating the paperwork or the process, whatever that is just so impactful. And that really is truly leading with dignity, right? We're so very fortunate. What inspired you to pursue your current role?
I had an aunt in HR who I really looked up to too. She might be the second person I admire if I went down that road. But she was in HR, and I really loved the stories that she would tell, and the work that she would describe. So I went to Montgomery County Community College right out of school, and I ended up working in a human resources department at Clemens Markets in their HR department while I was going through school. So based on my influence from my aunt and then actually doing the job and working with other HR professionals, that's when I decided I'm going to go to Temple after this, and I'm going to pursue my degree in business administration with a concentration in human resources. So that's what I did, and I continued to work in different HR departments throughout my college career. And I think what I decided at that moment as well is that I could work in HR anywhere. I can do it in any industry, anywhere I would like, but I decided that nonprofit or some kind of service industry was where I really wanted to be. I wanted my job to be meaningful, and I knew that even though I wasn't maybe doing the direct work or the direct care of individuals or direct teaching, that I could make an impact on those doing that work. So that's sort of been my mission. I've had many jobs in HR since my college career, but each one of them have been in some kind of nonprofit service field. Now public education, and now I'm here at WIS. So.
You are, and you bring a wide range of perspectives, having been in various settings in this role, which it adds value to what we are able to do here in the Waukegan School District, and we're very fortunate. In your job, and as all leaders do, we have challenges that we have to face in our roles. What would you say is an approach that you take when you are facing a challenge in your position?
Well, most of my challenges are human challenges.
All right.
That can get complicated and very complex. I think the most important thing I can do is listen. I lean in, I ask questions, I'm curious. I need to get the full picture and full understanding of what's happening, because nothing is just black and white. It's nuanced, it's complex. You're dealing with humans and feelings and past histories and all of those things. So at the end of the day, I think that people want to be heard. So I need to have a listening ear. And I also think that they just want direction. So I tend not to make decisions quickly or on the fly, but I do get back to people in a reasonable time frame. I take the time that I need to figure out what's happening, bring people together, in order to make the best decisions, and then to be transparent and clear with people. I think you may not always give someone the answer that they want, but you have to give them an answer, and you have to stand by it and have facts and helping people understand where you got to that. I just think is incredibly important, especially when you're dealing with other individuals and people. So
in their lives, right?
Their lives,
yeah,
right?
That's exactly what it is. You and I often will sort of check in and have conversations about leadership in general. And one of the things you mentioned just now is something that comes up a lot for us: is stay curious. Right? Listening,
Absolutely.
But staying curious, asking questions, which is so important in leadership. So I'm glad you brought that up today. Thank you. What's a current project that you're working on right now, or something that you worked on recently that you're excited about that's maybe changed the landscape of how your department is functioning or enhanced something that's going on for your team?
So a big project that we just worked on was introducing a new time clock system. We went from time clocks on the wall to people being able to clock in on an app. So if they choose to do so, there's other ways they can do it as well. So that was a really big undertaking in our department. Lots of hours, lots of time getting into that, and then lots of time tweaking, right? So nothing ever works out exactly how you think it's going to or hope to. Spending a lot of time tweaking the system. So we are in full implementation now, and I think it's going fairly well to pretty well. And I think it's been a welcome change for a lot of our staff who no longer have to stand at a time clock and swipe a card. And it just sort of adds a little bit of dignity to the process. We can still do what we need to do on our end, tracking time, because Department of Labor thinks that's a great idea, and so do we. So we get to track time, but also people can do it in a way that's comfortable for them as they're walking into a building when they get to their classrooms. So that's been a really, really exciting change, and I think it's really changed how we do things in our department, and then also how people feel about starting their day or ending their day.
I recall all the many hours over the summer for your team working on getting that launched, and it sounds like it's really an awesome start this year. So thank you to you and your team for all the work that you put into that. What do you have exciting in your department that is coming up?
What's exciting coming forward is, and goals of our department is to be paperless. So that's a huge goal, and I think we're on our way there. That's something else we've been working really hard to do, making things accessible for staff, forms, and the ability to see their personnel files, and be able to access contracts they've signed, and for everyone to have things at their fingertips. So we've done a lot of work there, and so I'm really excited to move that forward with my current team, and something very exciting coming down the pike. So.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so now we get to turn the tables.
Okay.
And you get to ask me a couple of questions. Maybe you have questions that you already want to ask. If you need some help, I was gifted this book by Dr. Blair, the high school principal. It's 3,000 questions about me, so you can certainly use this if you're interested.
I do have questions.
Okay, so you don't want. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's go.
Let's go.
My boy, should I be nervous?
You should be. No, I'm just kidding. I think my first question, and I don't know that I know a lot about you. We work very closely together, so there are some things that I already know. But this is something I don't. I'm very curious. What made you decide to be a teacher and get into education?
Thank you for the question. My mother was an educator. My father was also an educator. He actually worked in a preschool for a number of years before changing directions in his career. And so education was around me in that sense. My aunt was an educator for a portion of her career as well. So it's always been something that has been sort of around me. I love being a part of the ever-changing landscape of education. I love being able to help students to prepare for their futures, to have an impact on the lives of children in ways that will help them to navigate the world around them. I mean, it's the most incredible field, I think, ever. I mean, no offense to the field of HR, but the role of an educator is just so impactful. I mean, you're shaping the lives of the future of our society and helping them to be successful, contributing members of society is just incredible. And I used to say that to my first graders when I was a first grade teacher, like, this is what my job is. And they would look at me like, well, no, like, you're just teaching me how to read. But yeah, so you can be a reader, a critical reader, like a critical thinker, and be ready for the world around you. I mean, it's also daunting to have that responsibility as a teacher as well. But it is so fulfilling. And so yeah, I've had roles in education as a classroom teacher in an elementary setting, but I've also done voluntary work in my community. One of the roles that I've had is working with English learners, and what I've learned from them is more than I could ever have taught them. Also working at various universities. Everything that I've done has been in education. Even my first job, I worked at daycare, and working after school at a daycare. So I've actually never had a job outside of education. Every job I've had has been in the field of education.
So when you are not here at work and being Dr. Dawan, what do you like to do? What are your passions?
I do love to read. I love to read research and leadership. Like I'm always reading that's something that brings me joy. It doesn't bring everybody joy, but it does bring me joy because I'm a lifelong learner. I love to always learn and stretch myself and grow. I also love to kayak. So when I'm not here, if it's, spring, summer, fall, I might be in the mountains somewhere at a lake, out kayaking or hiking. That brings me so much joy to be in nature, in the woods, on the water. So definitely you can find me out kayaking or hiking. And for the past 6 months, I've been fencing, which has been a lot of fun.
That's great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Hay, for joining me today. This was wonderful to get to know more about you and your, of course, what you do, but also what you do outside of work. It's been really nice to get to know more about you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was fun and great to learn a little bit more about you, getting to know you and answering some of those questions. So I appreciate it.
As we wrap up, I want to encourage everyone to keep leading with dignity. And remember, everyone's story matters. Until next time, let's stay involved, let's stay inspired, let's stay connected, and let's stay curious. Thanks for joining me today on Leading with Dignity, Casual Conversations with Dr. Dawan, to help us celebrate our leaders.